people does not constitute balanced reporting. And so the other political dimension of this is, you say, in the circle, where people are sitting with their knees less than 9 inches apart. They're not being helpful to each other. They're paying attention to each other. Where they have a question that's personal and anxiety-provoking, all right? And they're with people they know the least. Those are the conditions out of which democracy can pop up, where teamwork pops up. They're also the conditions where learning occurs. And in every class you have, it's the peers where learning occurs. The faculty is important. They are structuring. They have a job to do. Some concepts are useful. But mostly I learn from my experience with you. And if you've ever been to a conference, this is what everybody says. How was the conference? It was great. Speakers, so-so. Workshops, so-so. But I met some wonderful people. So this is legitimizing what's true about experience. So that's the thought. And those are methodologies. Those are usable. Now, they're too simple. And so that's what I want to try now. We've got a little, 4 to 7. What time we start? We got to 7:30. We got lifetime. So what I like to do is use this room as an example. So if every experience is not an example of its theory, then the theory is just talk. It was just a lecture. So that's what I'd like you to do. And the 3 is as good as any. Now, you have to sit with your knees less than 9 inches from your neighbor. This is more of the technology. This is really stupid, and it works, because without that, then you get guys like me sitting with their feet out, you know, show me what you're working with. And so if my knees are 9 inches, this is one. So here's the question. I give you a couple of choices. So one question is to ask each other, what's the question that is animating your life right now? So this also, in a culture, the patriarchy, defends against relatedness by its love of speed. Why am I in such a hurry? People FedEx me stuff I'm not even interested in. Oh, I'll FedEx it to you. Don't bother. Oh, it's okay, it's in the mail. I got FedExes lined up on the side of my desk, all right? And so speed is the argument against democracy. It's the argument against relatedness. It's the argument against love. It's the argument against meaning. We don't have time to talk about that. We must do something. So doing is a defense against being, if you want to use that language. So don't be seduced by people's wish to get on with it. So what I'd like you to do is say, what's the question that's animating your life now, which deepens the conversation. So every time you're in the world, your question is, how do I go deeper? Now, some people don't want this. Some people will say, I didn't come for this touchy-feely crap. And you know what you do? You take their side. You say, this is a bunch of touchy-feely crap. Now break into groups of 3. Because I know their lives will be changed, if it's going to be changed or touched by their experience with each other. I know that's true. I don't mind willing people into groups of 3. This isn't what I came for. I know it is. I don't want to do this. Don't. But don't leave the room. If people don't want to do what you're up to, I say, please stay in the room. Stay in the circle. We need people in the circle who are embodiments of dissent. I need people in the room that think this is crap, because they bring some reality and balance into the room. So I just say, sit there, don't say anything. If anybody asks you a question, all you have to do is say, I pass. So there's space for dissent in community. In patriarchy, there's no space for dissent. You're considered uncooperative, disloyal, a terrorist. First Union once said, either you're with us or you're a terrorist. Got it? So dissent in patriarchy is unwelcome. So you hear all this funny little talk. I'm a can-do kind of guy. You know, I'm a team player. I want to get my people on board. How are we going to get those people on board? For the dissident, even in the circle, and you just say, I pass, and you say, thank you for staying with us. There's nothing coercive about the circle, otherwise the circle, that's why so got it? So do this now. So the question is, what's the question that animates either your life right now? What's the question that brought you into this room tonight? Another beautiful question, lower risk question. Why was it important for you to show up tonight? And I don't want to hear about, well, our class convenes here tonight and I didn't want to be absent. You know how to say no. Everybody in this room and in the world knows how to say no anytime they want. You know, the dog ate my homework, my mother's in surgery, I'm having surgery in the morning. My favorite excuse was my car got stuck in a pond. And I got interested in that. What the hell was it doing there? Did you expect to park it there at night and not be able to drive it out in the morning? Or did it? Got it? So another great question is, why was it important for you to be here tonight? And if this night is a small version of your life, there's little difference between the story of why it was important for you to be here tonight and what's the question that's animating your life. So some of these questions sound simple, but they're delightfully seductive. So do this now. Take 10 minutes in threes. Do not be helpful to each other. Substitute help for why does it matter to you. Go deeper. Knees less than 9 inches apart. And pick somebody you don't know and don't wait to be chosen. This can be very lonely. Do it now. Architecture. You say whatever you're up to. And I don't care how technical what you're up to is. At some point, citizens in the neighborhood, employees in the business or the institution, students in the classroom, parishioners in the church, public servants in the government have to sit in a circle together with people in that institution that they know the least, so this possibility of surprise can show up. And they have to sit with their knees less than 9 inches from their neighbors. And they have to be given a question that nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. What do you mean by that question? The answer is exactly. Thank you for the affirmation. Because it's in ambiguity that I find myself. This is the wilderness. A clear question I can answer. Ambiguous question I struggle. What the hell do you mean? And then you ask people, don't be helpful to each other. And then from time to time you stop them, which I just did. And you ask them one more tool. You don't ask them to report on the small group. Nothing is more boring than small group reports. Nothing consumes more trees than flip charts that nobody's interested in. All right? Because when people report out of a small group, the person reporting is reporting on a meeting that never took place. Finally, I got a chance to say what I was trying to squeeze in with these guys. Got it? And it's a location. So instead of that, you ask people, which I'm asking you now, what struck you in the conversation you just had? So the word struck is interesting because it brings in lightning, the possibility of lightning into the room, which in the Hopi world is consciousness, it's awareness. So let me ask you and collect now. You don't want everybody, but you need 3 or 4 people, because if you leave people in the small groups too long, what happens? They get tribal. They say, screw you, we're having a great time, we'll see you later. So the other thing you're trying to do in the social architecture is create structures that have people care for something larger than themselves, larger than my team. This is why the stranger is so essential. I cannot care for the well-being of the whole unless I'm with people I don't know. And all my learning came from people I didn't know. So let me ask you, what struck you about the conversation we just had? This is the group participation part. There's a microphone. There's a microphone there. Want to say something?